What's up, guys? This is Reno from Garcia's on Wheels, and today we are going to talk about what to expect on your first RV trip. Okay, so I have a list of 8 things that you should expect, and then we're going to go through a list of what you should do on your first RV trip to try to minimize some of those things. Okay, number 1 is something is going to break. Now, we have not had a trip yet, actually, where something didn't break, but that's just the nature of the thing. When you're driving something big down the road, it's going through its own mini earthquake, and there's hazards. This time, we somehow got in this weird bind where we broke the ladder by dragging it on the road. Now, how we got into this situation, I have no idea, but probably something's gonna break on every trip. So there's that. Number 2 is you're probably gonna find all kinds of things that don't work. And I know that sounds like something's gonna break, but most likely things already didn't work when you bought it. You just haven't discovered it yet. So that's kind of how it goes with RVs. And everybody will tell you that you have to take a shakedown trip just to find all the stuff. So that's how it is. Always when trying to make these videos, there's like people and stuff, if you can imagine. Trying to film a video, can you guys like fill your propane different time? All right, the next one is not everything is gonna go as planned, and that's okay. So you kind of need to learn to be flexible. You know, sometimes you can't fit in the spot you want. Sometimes you don't get there at the time that you want to get. You never know. It's always something, but just roll with it and don't get all worked up in the details. All right, number 4 is you may experience some anxiety while towing. Now, this is something I've been dealing with, and it's not something I've dealt with any other trailer. I've towed lots of cargo trailers and smaller campers. This one is just 42 feet long, and this truck is really long. And for some reason, the combination just stresses me out. So, you know, I mean, I haven't really gotten in any situation where I couldn't get out of, but I just always just have this like anxious feeling. But that's been getting better as I've towed it more. So some of that is just lack of experience with that length of everything. So just be aware that that might be something to deal with, and maybe you need to take it to a parking lot and practice. Because I know, to me, all the way I'm driving there, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I have this big thing to put in a parking spot once we get there, or a campsite, whatever. And you just kind of got to get over that, I guess. Number 5, and finally we're on a happy one. RVers are generally friendly. So you might get some help in that campsite, and you know, some people will say, you know, you don't want help from people sometimes because they might get you in a situation that messes you up, and you know, we've heard that from several other YouTube channels. However, sometimes, like I talked about in our last video, sometimes RVing sucks, you should check that one out. Sometimes people are super helpful and get you out of a predicament that you wouldn't be able to get out of on your own. So, you know, you kind of have to make that judgment on your own, but I wouldn't just discount people just because you're not related to them. Okay, back to the negatives, I guess, if you think of it that way. When you get to the campground, you are going to be the entertainment for everyone else. So just be aware of it while you're trying back in your trailer and you're sweating and, you know, you're saying things that you probably shouldn't say. Everyone is going to be sitting in their lawn chairs in their front yard watching you, because if you're at the campground, there might not be much else to do, but you sure are entertaining. So be aware that that's going to happen, and you're just going to have to get over that. So if you're nervous about that, don't worry, it's definitely going to happen. Okay, the next one is going to be kind of a what to expect and a tip at the same time. So be aware that it's going to take a lot longer than you think to get somewhere. And you should just expect that and just take your time, because rushing is not going to make anything better, and it's going to cause more things to break. So just relax and give yourself the time to get somewhere. All right, number 8, last one. You're gonna forget something. So that's okay, but you're gonna forget something. Hopefully it's not something important, plenty of people have put out checklists on what to bring, and you know, all of the different setup things and making sure that you're ready to leave. So you should probably just check one of those out or make one for yourself. We don't do that, even though we keep saying we're going to. And we haven't really forgotten anything, but we also live in our rig, so if it's not in there, we probably just don't own it yet. All right, now we're on the list of things that you should do on your first RV trip. Now, number one is pick somewhere close to home. Do not drive 12 hours on your first day to your first campsite and then realize that you forgot stuff, things are broken, you didn't know how to get there, you're way too far for anybody to help you. Just go to a local campground. Try everything out, you know? Or some people even camp in their yard, and that'll be a great way to at least see if everything works. But I would still recommend that you drive it somewhere so you get a feel for it. Just don't get so far away that you can't go back and get something if you need to. And camp somewhere near a store so that if there's anything you're missing, you can go purchase it, and you're not, you know, out in the wilderness somewhere and you're like, oh, my battery isn't charged, which has happened to us, by the way. So fortunately, we did this trip up to Chico, and we were volunteering during the campfire, and we got there and our batteries were no good. I don't know why, but our converter decided that it didn't charge anymore. But we happened to be in town, so we ran over to Harbor Freight, bought a battery charger, and I just plugged the battery charger straight onto the batteries and ran it off the generator. That was the solution. Okay, number two, I talked about this a little bit already, but I'm gonna talk about it again because it's important. Take your time getting there. You do not want to rush when you're towing something big down the highway. That's how you see all those blown tires down the road. People driving crazy. Just take your time, go slow. You don't need to tow at 75 miles an hour. It's not safe, and it's gonna stress you out. And by the time you get to your place, it's not gonna be fun because you're gonna be exhausted from just trying to control that thing at those kind of speeds. So just realize that it's gonna take a day to get there and to get set up, and just go with it. All right, next one. I'm turning around because if you can tell, I'm getting winded because I don't walk enough anymore. And hopefully we'll remedy that soon. Take your time setting up. This is kind of the same deal, you know, don't rush, don't get yourself stressed out. For crying out loud, you're on vacation. So treat it like vacation and not like I'm getting to work, I'm getting all this done. Just chill out. You're gonna have a much better experience if you just relax. Okay. Don't sweat the small stuff. That's the next one. So, like on this trip, I already told you, broke the ladder. And I could let that ruin the trip, but why? I'm gonna let the whole week suck because my ladder's broken? I'm just gonna have to fix the ladder. And you know, it kinda sucks. It's probably gonna cost some money, but I already spent money on this trip. Why am I gonna ruin this trip and waste that money by just sitting here and pouting the whole time that I broke my ladder? We met some of the nicest people up here, and you know, I'm not gonna just let that be nothing and just sit here and pout and then drive home. Okay, last one that I can think of off the top of my head or off the top of my phone. Measure your rig. So, find out your height. If you have slides, find out the width of your slides. Then, we have these on like a label stuck to the windshield of the truck. So when we get to a camp spot, we can measure to like a tree or to whatever other things are there and make sure that we can get our slides out, because there is nothing worse than parking your RV, unhitching, leveling it, and then opening the slides, and the slide cannot open because you're too close to a tree. So measure all that stuff. And the height, know the height of your rig, because when you're getting there, if you happen to be going to some of these older spots, you might find a low bridge. And I don't know if you ever watch those videos where people ram their RVs and big rigs through a low bridge and it just demolishes them. You don't want that to be you. Hey, future me here. Apparently the end of the video got eaten by gremlins. So I guess you're just gonna have to deal with me. So if you like this video, we would love for you to click that like button, and we'll catch you in the next one.